Where to begin? There's a line from a song by Dan Wilson. Every new beginning starts at some other beginning's end. I really like that line because it really is good neuroscience. You never truly begin at the beginning because you're always bringing forward all of your experiences in the form of these interconnected networks. I study human behavior with a particular focus on habits, the force that controls us unconsciously. And this is what makes beginning so hard, is that our habits are controlling us at an unconscious level. And our unconscious is actually in control of what we do. And it is motivated by emotion, not reason. So your conscious mind says, hey, let's go on a new diet, or let's start a new education program, or let's start exercising. And your unconscious mind goes, not so fast. Your nonverbal, emotion-driven, unconscious mind is in control, and yet you feel as if you're consciously making these decisions. In working with clients on behavior change from everything from client to customer to innovation, I discovered that there are a few people who are really good at starting new things, and we can learn a lot from them. And what we find is that there is processes that work and those that don't. And what I discovered, which really surprised me, is that the people who are good at this are good at untangling three networks: their neural network, their social network, and their destination network. Now, when we begin to talk about neural networks, they're just ridiculously complicated. So let's keep things simple. When we think about this idea of neural connections in our mind, it's just paths that we're making as we have new ideas, new thoughts, connecting new things together. And once you've created a path, it feels really natural to walk down it, and it feels awkward to go off of it. And I think this is why you see that many of the great breakthroughs come from people early in their careers. So, for example, James Clerk Maxwell unified electricity and magnetism and light into the electromagnetic spectrum in his early 30s. And Albert Einstein published his paper on the special theory of relativity, as well as another paper launching the most famous equation in human history, E = mc squared, all by the time he was 25. And Paul Dirac, at 26, reshaped how we think about quantum mechanics. And once the path is laid down, though, see, that's where it becomes difficult to come off of it. It becomes difficult to think about something differently than the way we've learned it. And this is what it means to untangle your network. It starts with a positive motivation, and that might be to stop smoking. It might be to learn a new language. But that positive motivation is only a necessary first step. It's not enough. What we found is that people who really focus on the negative aspects of what they want to change about their life are much more successful. So people who've successfully quit smoking might spend a lot of time thinking about how disgusting ashtrays are or the stink of their clothes. And once they've done that, once they've spent a good deal of time focusing on the negative, they're able to start plotting a path forward that seems more manageable. They're able to begin to see how they can build new neural networks. And this is when their second network, their social network, can stop them cold. We are surrounded by friends and family and colleagues who are used to us the way we are, and they may resist us trying to be something else. As soon as you start taking steps down a new path, you're disrupting the neural pathways of everyone around you. Your coworkers may resent your trying to get ahead. Your siblings may want to maintain the pecking order of the family. Even your spouse may seem supportive, but undermine you with some sort of subtle emotional sabotage. The key to untangling your social network is to identify those people who are really supportive of you and distancing yourself from those people who would discourage you. Unfortunately, sometimes that distancing becomes permanent. And that's why overcoming your social networks is so important, because it's this gravitational pull you have at a very deep emotional level to the people around you. Once you've aligned your social network and your neural network, you're prepared to begin to enter your destination network. I went back to school in my mid-30s to get a PhD with the idea of becoming a college professor. But I was much more skeptical of the academic theories that I was being presented with than my mid-20 peers. And this did not endear me to anyone. When I took that skepticism to the next level and wrote a book that really questioned a lot of the underlying core concepts of the field that I was in, this was not well received by those people who I had hoped would welcome me into their destination network. It was funny, I did a presentation on a new model of customer behavior I had come up with based on neuroscience. And at the end of it, a very senior professor came up and sort of pulled me aside and said, "Neale, it's not that we don't agree with you. It's that nobody wants to rewrite the textbooks." So when you start looking at navigating that last network, understand you have to learn the unwritten rules. And you have to realize that much of the feedback mechanism is happening at an unconscious level. The destination network may not be accepting. And in my case, I was really surprised that I found acceptance with clients who were really interested in my particular way of looking at the world. It wasn't the destination network I had set out to join. It turned out to be much better. When I was writing a book on wireless communications, I came across a hero of mine who had managed to untangle her 3 networks in a way that, against all odds, changed the world. Now, you may have heard the story of how Hedy Lamarr, the very famous actress, patented a technology that's at the heart of all wireless communications that we use today. But you may not have heard why she did it. At 19, she had married a munitions manufacturer with ties to Nazi Germany. One night at a dinner with her husband and one of his clients, they started talking about why torpedoes were so inaccurate. And she naively commented that, why don't you use radio waves to control the torpedoes? And she was dismissively told that the enemy could jam the signal, or they could hijack the signal. She was able to escape her husband by abandoning her entire social network and fleeing to the United States. But she never stopped thinking about that idea. She thought, what if the transmitter and the receiver would change frequencies at the same time, like 2 different instruments playing the notes from the same song? Now, the world saw her as just a beautiful face, but her parents had instilled in her a very strong neural network based on their respect for her keen intellect. She knew that she could create what it was she was imagining. And she got together with another innovative thinker, a musician, and they patented what's now called frequency hopping technology. Now, she offered that to the Navy so that it could help with the war effort. But that was a destination network that she could not untangle. Yet, 40 years later, the problem that she solved became critical to the development of broadband wireless technology. Every time you turn on your smartphone, every time you tap into a Wi-Fi network, you're using technology based on her idea. Now, she was at the height of her fame as an actress, and yet she started out doing something completely new by untangling these networks. And I hate to say it, but most new beginnings fail. Most new products are dead within 2 years of launch. Most efforts to lose weight or learn a new language are abandoned after days or weeks. And the reason why is because it's hard. It's hard to get out of the gravitational pull of our social networks. It's hard to pave new pathways. It's hard to break free of the habits that control us like gyroscopes. And that's why I really want you to understand that when we talk about untangling networks, we're really talking about the deep wisdom that comes from realizing that it's our unconscious minds that need to change. Now, you may not come up with ideas that change our conceptualization of the universe. You may not invent a technology that changes the world. But on the other hand, you might.